But let's start with the breaking news in the last few minutes. It's disappointment for Adam Peaty, who missed out on an historic third consecutive gold medal in the 100 metres breaststroke. Let's cross live now to Paris and speak to our senior reporter, Geraint Hughes. Geraint, what a thrilling race that was. The tightest of margins between the top three.
I think, Jasper, it probably is about that much. 0.02 of a second separated Adam Peaty in silver and the gold medalist, the Italian Niccolò Martinenghi. Incredible swim. The American, just to bring it home with all the medals. Nick Fink won the bronze. One of Peaty's, we thought was going to be one of Peaty's big rivals in the race, the Chinese swimmer, Kai Hingyang. He came seventh, unbelievably, wasn't in the mix. It was a really strange race. I'm just trying to keep across what's happening just sort of post-race, and it feels, coming out from the aquatics venue, it was more of a scrap than a race. It's actually slower than the semi-finals. Nobody broke 59 seconds. Martinenghi, the Italian who took the gold, 59.03. Peaty 59.05, 200th of a second. So nobody actually went fast in the semi-final. Certainly in a shorter event like that, often they peak, they go through. I really was expecting more than a couple of swimmers to break the 59 barrier, coming to the 58s. But he didn't, and it also looks as if it all came down to those final few metres, what they call the glide in, where you've taken your final stroke and you glide in. And the Italian Martinenghi has just managed to get a fingertip to the board just ahead of Adam Peaty. I think by his own admission, perhaps not the greatest of starts. He's normally certainly within the top 2 or 3. He was not in the first 20-25 metres. Got himself back in the mix with some really hard hard yards at the turn. Of course, 100 metres, 2 laps of the pool. He was 500 a second behind at the turn. He then seemed to got himself into the lead, but it was so close, it was almost impossible to tell exactly who was leading. And as you say, by the Italian winning by 200 a second, that is an absolutely tiny margin, tiny for Adam Peaty. Put this into context. It's still an amazing achievement. And what I will tell you is we've heard some quotes from Adam Peaty immediately post-race. He did break into tears, but he was smiling and he says, "In my heart, I've won." These are tears of happiness. That is great to hear from somebody that was going for an historic, history equaling third successive gold medal in the men's 100-metre breaststroke to equal the great Michael Phelps. But it's just been, as we've been talking all evening, the journey that Adam Peaty has been on just to get to these Olympic Games. Tokyo nearly beat him up. He left the sport, went away from it to sort out some personal issues, came back in very, very quick time, got himself on the Olympic team, got himself to the final as the fastest, and by the tiniest of margins, he has not been able to win a gold, but it is a silver medal. And just to bring that into context of where we are on the second day of full competition here at the Olympics, that's the 4th medal now for Team GB, 2 silvers, 2 bronze. Adam Peaty, the first male athlete now to win a medal for Team GB at these games. I'm sure he'll be disappointed. However, at least afterwards, he's been smiling, say, "In my heart, I've won." Very good to hear.
Yeah, and I think along that line as well, Geraint, because it seemed going into this Olympics that this was a different Adam Peaty to the one that we'd seen 4 and 8 years ago. In terms of his mentality, he was happy to be competing in a third Olympics, whereas it was all about the gold in Rio and in Tokyo. You think that is the case? You think that he will genuinely see this silver as a medal gained as opposed to the gold as one lost?
I think probably, I last spoke with Adam last week, in the week leading up to it at the training camp. He's certainly a very different person to the one he was in Rio and in Tokyo. He described himself as being a boy at Rio, just becoming a dad ahead of the Tokyo Olympics, and now he believes he's in a place in his life where he is truly happy with every part, every facet of his life. So I think upon some reflection with friends and family, pretty quickly by his own reaction after this swim this evening, is that there will be contentness. Of course he wanted the gold. Probably if he did the race again, he could and should win the gold because he is that good. But it's been take away the fact that he's had a personal journey to get to these Olympics. Because of that, he probably hasn't necessarily had the time in the pool at the absolute pinnacle peak fitness that you would ideally want going into Olympic year. He's had to really come through and hit targets throughout the year just to get on the Olympic team, first of all, with the trials at the end of March, and then to get here. He said last week, one of the things I remember him saying, he says, I'll actually only know what shape I'm in, how good I'm in when I swim the first heat. Now, I think, we've got to doff our cap to him. What he swam in the heats and in the semi-finals, he is certainly in shape. But to do the 100-metre breaststroke, to win the gold medal, it is not just one race. It is several. It's three. And they're hard work over a short, condensed period of time. So there will be fatigue going into the final. Maybe that explains the time. Because as I said before to you, Jasper, I was expecting it to be a 58-something time for the winner. And nobody has done that. It was a 59.05 from Peaty. So it's just a really, if you just take a step back, it's an incredible achievement to get here in the first place. Got himself in shape. He wouldn't have come to the Olympics if he didn't think he could perform, but he didn't quite know what he was going to be able to do. He's got a silver, but he's missed out on the gold by millimetres, if that. I think an incredible achievement from a man who's certainly found peace with many aspects of his life. Swimming is not the be-all and end-all for Adam Peaty anymore. It's his family, his little boy, his new partner Holly, the family around him. That's what matters to Adam Peaty just as much as it does swimming, whereas perhaps at previous Olympics in Tokyo and Rio, as you quite rightly said, it was just swimming, and that took a huge toll on his mental health. So we've had tears from Adam Peaty, but they are tears of happiness this evening, and I think some contentness with his performance.
Yeah, absolutely, and particularly when, just picking up on something you said earlier, Geraint, his big rival coming into this, Qin Haiyang, finished 7th out of 8th. I mean, that just shows how tight, how remarkable this field was. The fact is, Adam Peaty's got his 6th Olympic medal, and he is, quite frankly, a Team GB legend. Let's move on to another legend of his own sport, and that is Andy Murray, because his career will continue for at least one more match. And talk about dramatic circumstances at the end of that one as well.
Yeah, God, we are talking about fine margins tonight in all the sports involving Team GB athletes. Andy Murray and Dan Evans, I still don't know how they're still in the Olympics. That was snatching victory from the jaws of defeat earlier in the men's doubles. Their first round match against the Japanese pairing of Kei Nishikori and Taro Daniel. It didn't go to plan at all in the first set. They lost it by 6-2, and you're thinking, this is not looking good. This is going to be over quickly, and we're going to be talking about the final, the retirement of Sir Andy Murray from tennis, his last ever game. But they scrapped, they hung in there, they fought, and got to a tie-break in the second set, won that. And then the format for the Olympics in the doubles is, it's not a traditional set, the deciding set, it's a match tie-break, so the first to 10 points or 2 clear once you get there. And I don't know what happened to Murray and Evans, but they completely were being torn apart by the Japanese pair. 9-3, so that's 5 match points. And they just somehow got their grit going, got going, and won 8 on the bounce to win that match tiebreak by 11 points to 9, sealing that deciding set and winning. The scenes afterwards were absolutely phenomenal. The celebrations, the joy, the emotion of actually winning that. It actually felt like they had won a medal. It felt like they won the gold medal. But for Andy Murray, a victory, and they have been few and far between, haven't they, in recent months and years. He will really enjoy that, and he goes on. His career goes on. He's spoken about how the challenges of actually coming to terms with not playing tennis anymore. He wants to keep on going, but he knows his body can't do it. He's now found a place where he's happy with that, but he's not putting his feet up just yet. He's got at least one more match here at the Olympic Games, his 5th Olympic Games overall, and he's through to the second round of the men's doubles with his partner Dan Evans.
Yeah, we look forward to it. What an evening, Geraint. Thank you very much for bringing us right up to speed.